Welcome to your June 2025 Vedic Astrology forecast. This is our first full month with Jupiter, Saturn, and the nodes of the moon all in new signs. And that really changes everything. Those planets don't move very often. Those are the slower moving planets. And now they're finally dialed in. And, June is really marking the real new beginning of a new chapter. So the energy is moving faster, clarity is sharper, and decisions that have felt murky just a few weeks ago are finally coming into focus or going to be coming into focus for you. So if you're ready to move forward with more confidence, with more alignment, June is the time. So let's take a look at what's ahead and how to work with it. But before we delve into all of the upcoming transits for June, it's important to acknowledge the significant shifts that these slower moving planets have made, because that's really the backdrop for us. Hi, I'm Prema and welcome to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. If you do not know what your Vedic Astrology ascendant or moon sign is, you can get the link down below for the free chart calculator. Also, the Sacred Wealth Code quiz is there where you can get one of your Sacred Wealth Code archetypes as well. Saturn is now in Pisces. It's been in Pisces since March 29th of 2025, and it'll be there until June 2nd of 2027. But the thing is now it's finally by itself. We had a big planetary pileup in Pisces, and I know you felt all of it, even if you didn't know what actually was happening. And now Saturn is clear with just its own energy there. So we're going to start to feel and sense what it really means for us. And so it's really about spiritual maturity, our emotional boundaries, and our karmic integration. Because Saturn's entry into Pisces, it marks this significant shift from structured realms of Aquarius into the really fluid, introspective waters of Pisces, where the veil is very thin. And we've had a lot of chaos. So Saturn's coming in to bring order to the chaos, but it's a different kind of chaos because it's Pisces. It's very ethereal. So this transit invites a deep examination of our inner world. You're going to be really called inward, and there'll be a clarity and alignment for you and some new structures that Saturn is going to put in place. And that can be through emotional discipline, learning to really navigate our emotions with more maturity and recognizing the difference between empathy and emotional entanglement, because Pisces is a very empathetic sign. In fact, I have a whole module in Sacred Wealth Mastery on being an empath, because this is a very important energy that we face in Pisces, but Saturn's going to help us to understand this energy better. It's going to help us also with our spiritual accountability so that we can commit to our spiritual practices that really give us the grounding and the clarity that we need to keep a foot in the physical world. And also the sort of creative structuring that helps us to transform our imaginative ideas into real tangible outcomes through our disciplined effort. Because Saturn, our great organizer, is always bringing in that disciplined, truthful, persevering effort to create something that's sustainable, that will sustain over a period of time. So it's going to be very supportive here in that way. And I know that all those words can sound really heavy, but Saturn is a seeker of truth in it. And so wherever it is, it's helping us to come more into alignment and more into truth. There is also an energy of karmic reflection here, which gives us opportunities to really understand and integrate our past lessons, leading to our own personal evolution, our own personal growth, and our transformation. It's not enough to just have an insight. We've got to put the soul work into it in order to make it a real state of being. And Saturn helps us to do that through our daily routines, our rituals, have a consistent spiritual practice, and to really have clear boundaries. Saturn is the king of boundaries, and boundaries are not walls to keep other people out. Boundaries are rule sets we set up for ourselves that we live by, and by living by those, we create clear energetics That's the best way to say that, and clear channels for energy. So you're going to be mindful about overextending yourself emotionally. This is especially around our emotional energy because it is Pisces. And, part of that is being able to say no. If it's not a big yes, remember, it is a no. Now, Rahu has moved into Aquarius. That is the magician in the sacred wealth code system. That is the north node of the moon. And Ketu, the mystic, has moved into Leo. Now, they move. Here's what I want you to know is that wherever Aquarius is in your chart, wherever Leo is in your chart in Vedic astrology, this is where the growth trajectory and the changes are going to be happening, okay? Aquarius, innovation, collective progress, and very much our unconventional, innovative thinking. And that's where the magician will be, and that'll be expanding. And Leo happens to be where Ketu is, and that's going to more be our sort of introspection. That's the mystic, our humility, and really a reevaluation of leadership. We're going to see that collectively and personally, and really our own ego as well. So this access really invites us to balance our individual desires with the collective needs. Aquarius, collective needs, Leo, individual desires. And so we'll be having growth here, and we'll have lots of growth opportunities, and it'll get especially triggered when we have the eclipses. But we'll get into all of that as it comes along. And then we have had Jupiter. I'm looking for my archetypes for Jupiter. The great sage, the great teacher, has moved into Gemini. I did a whole video on this with all the signs, and you can access that video in order to go deeper into this transit. But what I want you to remember is Jupiter is here in Gemini and really helping us to grow and teach and communicate. This year is really about grounding the values that we came to in Taurus over the last year and really bringing that more into our connectivity, our speaking, our writing, and sharing our truth in more dynamic ways. So it's a time to be visible, time to really tune in with your message, whatever that is for you and what that's evolving to. But there is a shadow side because this is a very mental placement of overwhelm and overthinking. But the real essence here is Jupiter wants us to bring our wisdom and wants us to lead with wisdom and lead with truth. So we're going to need to stay curious and not come off like we know everything. Because if we're curious, then we're open to new information. So again, I did a whole video on this, so you've got that you can refer to. Now, let's get into the transits of June. First, we're opening the month with Venus having just moved into Aries on May 31st. Venus is our great connector, and it's also our great muse and our great artist. And this is really bringing in a time of much bolder desires and the courage that it takes to step into love sometimes, and very creative impulse. You see, Venus has been in Pisces since February of 2025, and it retrograded there, and there was eclipses, and yes, it was exalted, but then it lined up with Saturn and Rahu, and so Venus has been completely transformed and has moved from a night star to a morning star, and so now Venus is basically having a rebirth coming into Aries, and we're all ready for that. So this will really infuse our relationships with passion, with creativity, and really bring more speed to things and initiative. Because Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars brings up sort of pioneering energy to all the themes that Venus rules. And it's really a time when desires are clear and more action oriented, not just having the desire, but it's time to take action. So you will feel that passion, and you may want to take the initiation. So strong desire to go after what you want, and especially in love and creativity and in business too. And then there's also Aries gives Venus sort of this courage in self-expression and willingness to take the romantic risk or the risk in our self-expression. So you might be experiencing during this time more sort of directness, even sort of bold charm, confidence in like how you connect, or if you want to get flirty, or how you're, creating, putting your creative work out in the world, or just how you're interacting with your creative work, like being more bold, not holding back, like getting out the bright colors, being louder with your message, whatever that is for you. So follow your creative impulses. This is really a kind of an energy of like, start before you're ready, just get going. Like, you'll feel it, you don't have to think about this, you're just going to feel the impulse. It's the kind of energy for a new beginning. And anytime we're starting something new or a new project, whether we're rebranding, whether we're creating a new product, whether we're creating a new piece of art, there's sort of just like this boldness. We just need to get going, and this energy will give us that. It'll also give us the energy to be able to be more bold and invisible, or to lead in love. Don't wait to be chosen. If it feels aligned, make the first move, whether that's in a relationship or whether that's in a collaboration or an offer. And you will want to watch out for being impatient, because Aries is just an impatient sign. We want it all done yesterday. Mars always wants it all done yesterday. So sometimes quick passion can burn out fast. So stay attuned to what's really sustainable. Okay. But enjoy this energy. This will be fiery and it'll be fun. It'll be passionate, but channel that fire into something meaningful, your expression, your art, your business. And this will be a great breath of fresh air. So I'm excited to see what comes through for you during this time. And we have next Mercury in Gemini. Now, Mercury is our great communicator. Mercury owns Gemini. This will happen on June 6th, and it'll be there till June 22nd. And then it's going to fly right into Cancer after that. So this is about quick thinking, curiosity, and expanding your voice. It's the energy of the communicator, but it's also the energy of the merchant, which is all about business. Opportunities to prosper are everywhere, which is the mantra of the merchant. So Mercury enters Gemini on June 6th, and it'll join the sun there, and Jupiter also will be there. Well, I should say that the sun will be there mid-month. Jupiter is there already. So this is a dynamic combination, and that will really supercharge our communication. Will bring leadership and a lot of jiva to our communication, our learning, and our networking and sharing ideas. So this is a period really for that intellectual clarity, building momentum around your messaging, your visibility, and your teaching in whatever modality you're doing that teaching. And of course, technology and doing things online, but also events and things, that's really under this domain. So you'll have that sort of, mental agility that gives you ideas, and they come quickly, and maybe clever problem solving, and even you're going to feel mentally stimulated here, which also means you have to watch out for overthinking. Okay. This is a time for networking and social exchange. So you're going to want to connect and collaborate. You'll probably get opportunities to do that. And I would say yes. It's also a great time to, launch your new offerings. Mercury will go retrograde next month. So this is a great time. Not that we stop everything when Mercury goes retrograde, and I'll talk about that next month, but this is a great time. If you've been sitting on something you want to launch, let's get it going and engaging with your community, or stepping into a new community, and really, the opportunities for you to both learn something new and also maybe receive some new teaching as well. All perfect here in this. So stay grounded, okay? Because your thoughts can also be kind of overwhelming, because there's a lot of mental energy here. So we want to balance that with downtime, but also with grounding through your body and getting your feet on the ground and exercise, and, really refining your ideas. So clarify what's truly aligned versus what's just noise. So, get the creativity out there, or the discussion out there, but edit, distill, and simplify, whether that's your message, the project, whatever it is that you want to launch, so that it has deeper impact. So we're not using a floodlight, we're being more of a laser beam, but you give yourself the opportunity to entertain all the ideas first, and then hone in on what's most aligned. And how do you know what's most aligned? Well, you need to know what your purpose is, and your gifts, and align that. Okay, so that's very important. So you're just gonna have to watch out for scattered energy, because that really can happen with so many ideas. I am offering a soul over strategy workshop. The live workshop will be held on June 12th, and the replay will be after that. It'll be available both. Okay, so if you're really called to integrate, the cosmic shifts into your life and work more from the soul, less from strategy, and allow your soul to lead strategy, and with much less push, then I invite you to join me for this workshop. It's just $44, and the link is with the video here. It's really a space to ground all this new energy with your purpose and your path, and put it into action in a way that's you leading from your soul. Okay, big transit. Mars, our great honorable warrior, is going to be moving into Leo on June 6th. It'll be there through July 28th. This is so important because Mars has been in Cancer and Gemini for like the last 8 to 10 months. It is, and which is not really strong places for Mars. It is going to get very strong here in this placement. Now, there are some things that go along with this that we're going to have to be wary of, but it also is going to very much reawaken your courage, your vitality, and your passion and your productivity, because Mars likes to get things done. This shift is really significant in the energy of moving from this emotional introspection, which Mars is not happy in the realm of Cancer and emotions, and to this really sort of bold and expression and leadership energy of Leo, which is ruled by the sun. So we're going to feel like that strength and that drive come back, because Mars is the planet of action. And it's really happy in Leo. It's happy to be confident and determined and to move forward with things. So there's a lot of creative and professional momentum that we can have during this particular time for initiating our projects and pursuing our leadership roles and making decisive moves in our career, in our businesses, and our personal endeavors. It's also great for our health and our vitality. We're going to feel an uptick in that get up and go energy that really supports us in our physical fitness and taking care of our bodies and activity that it requires to bring something into the physical. Now, here's the thing. Mars and Ketu are going to conjunct. Ketu, the mystic, has just moved into Leo. Mars is moving into Leo. Now, the nodes of the moon, they move backwards. They go against the grain. They go counterclockwise around the zodiac, where the planets go clockwise around the zodiac. So over June and July, these two will come closer to one another. Mars traveling most of the distance. And so they're both in the same vicinity, which I'm going to give you some cautions about. But when the real conjunction happens, it's right around July 22nd. So I'm going to look at more a week around that time. And I'm going to talk about that more in July, where we really want to watch the intensity of the emotions that can really lead to impulsive actions if not managed very carefully. Okay. It can just be a really fiery combination. Traditionally, when we've had this combination before, we see outbreaks in the world. Mars is our martial planet. So that we're going to see collectively. You're going to want to watch your reactivity through this whole transit, okay? But it will be more intense in July. So we'll want to harness this energy. We want to engage in activities that require our courage, our initiative, let's go kind of energy, right? But it's that opportune time to take those bold steps on your goals that are in alignment with what you're here for, what you're doing, your purpose. And at the same time, we want to have our mindfulness practices and our grounding techniques to really balance the heightened energy here and maintain our emotional equilibrium. Now, I always say with Mars, sweat. You want to exercise. You want to burn off that extra energy so then you can use it more for the courage and the productivity instead of the irritation. Okay? You're going to want to avoid rash decisions, being cautious of making hasty choices, especially during the peak of the transit later in July. Take time to reflect on things so you're making really conscious decisions. Watch out for just being reactive. So if you're feeling that pull to reply to that email or, retaliate, just breathe. Just, the old practice maybe you gave a child, like take 3 breaths before you respond, okay? Just collect yourself a little bit. And it all just depends on how this is hitting you, okay? But it'll get more intense in July. Right now, use it as that creative courage, confident momentum to stand strong and to move forward. Next, we'll have a full moon in Scorpio. It'll be in Jyeshtha Nakshatra. This will be on June 11th at 26 degrees. And it happens, I'm on Pacific time, so it might be June 12th for you because it happens just right after midnight. So this stirs deep emotional desires, and it's really about letting go, because anytime we have a moon in Scorpio, it's debilitated here. The moon, of course, is our great nurturer and our queen. Debilitation, everything's good for something. So this is a moon that's good for introspection. And Jyeshtha is known as the eldest star, and it's ruled by Indra, the celestial protector. And this lunar event invites a profound transformation, encouraging the release of like those deep-seated patterns that are, maybe you've had to work with again and again. We call them samskaras as well. And really embrace the innate strength and wisdom that can come when we pierce through the pattern to really get the gold, the gold nugget that is underneath all of that. So this will be a time of emotional courage and time to really confront and transform those emotional triggers and fears, turning them into a source of empowerment. The Scorpio is all about devotion. We just have to get unstuck from the sort of emotional, dramatic turmoil that we can get stuck in Scorpio. But underneath all of that is what is we really devoted to. It's a very powerful place. So it's a time to embrace our power rooted in our wisdom and our compassion. And we want to avoid control. And that's one of the shadow sides here for sure. So I'll be doing a full moon healing circle at this time. And the full moon healing circle will be a healing event and activation. So if you are feeling that, those old emotions, those intuitive nudges, in the sense that you're ready to shed the past and step into just more of your truth, just put those patterns down. This is a guided space to move through these energies with depth, with courage, and with real support. I play the singing bowls, I do a whole invocation, and we go on a journey. And we clear and we heal, and we do it in a very graceful way. And we get activated, and this will be a deep activation, like the phoenix rising from the ashes, with your courage to, step forward with your transformation. So I invite you to join me. And the link is down below for that. The sun will transit Gemini on June 14th to July 16th. That's our great leader. And the sun moves into Gemini, which is Mercury's sign. And it's really this collective energy that becomes more curious and expressive and dynamic. And we've been talking about this already with Mercury, and of course Jupiter's there already for the year. So this is going to really emphasize our communication, our networking, and our intellectual exploration. Jupiter is in Gemini, and so this is really going to be powerful for fueling your purpose-driven work with your clarity, your creativity, and Jupiter will bring in an expanded perspective here. So this can be very playful, this transit, sort of a lighthearted tone to it. It's going to increase your mental activity, and we talked about that, how you need to watch out for overthinking and stay grounded. But you're going to feel probably more inclined to explore more new interests, and that will show up in your leadership as well, how you lead. And it's a great time to engage in a wider audience, put yourself out there on platforms maybe you haven't thought about before, or get moving on plans that require that have maybe a lot of moving parts to them. This will help you to put those projects together. So you'll be diving into your creativity and a lot of conversations, a lot of connecting, maybe content creation. And again, putting yourself out there is networking and speaking and marketing. And we've already talked about launching, great time for that. So there'll be an increased busyness with all this energy in Gemini. So you are going to, again, want to watch out for that restlessness and stay very grounded. This is a good time for travel as well, I want to say. Not later in July when Ketu and Mars are lining up. Not a great time for travel, but this is a good time. So just watch out for that restlessness, that, and also being critical can come in with this. So again, you need to stay grounded. I would say journal. I would say write things down, clarify, synthesize, and then act, or else you'll feel really scattered. Okay. But I think with Jupiter here, it's going to really help us with this. And if you stay grounded in your body, your meditation, your spiritual practice, your physicality, all the things, so that we can move from the soul to the soles of the feet, you will be just fine. Mercury is going to move into Cancer on June 22nd. So it just kind of whizzes through Gemini. But when it gets to Cancer, it's going to be there until August 30th because it will have its retrograde pattern here. Now, that won't happen until next month, but this is the placement where, it's enhanced connection and creativity. This is where we are feeling more emotional, right? So it's those, we're coming from that mental energy of Gemini, more into that heartfelt, emotional energy of Cancer. And so this is really about having those deeper conversations, being less analytical and more intuitive, and more emotionally attuned with the way you're speaking, with your expression. So now that you've got the mental ideas, ideation from Gemini, and then taking that down and dropping it into the heart, and then more speaking from the heart here and relying on your intuition. Now, this is also an empathetic placement. So we've got to, trust in what we're feeling, but at the same time, be careful of merging with other people too much and other people's thoughts too much. Okay. But it really gives us that ability to foster like that deeper understanding in our relationships and our personal and professional relationships. It'll really support artistic endeavors, writing in any form. So if you wanted to write the book, the blog, journaling, all great for this. Communication, but it's going to bring in more depth and more sensitivity to all of that. Your intuition is heightened here, and there's a tendency towards emotional reasoning, which can sometimes cloud your objectivity. So it's essential to balance your feelings with taking a step back and getting into your intellect at the same time. Like, okay, really weighing the facts of things. We want to be able to trust our intuition 100%. And we want to just take a check on that, especially when we have a lot of energy in Cancer, because it's just so emotional. Mercury will retrograde July 18th through August 11th, and we will talk about that more next month. The next transit is the new moon in Gemini in Ardra Nakshatra on June 25th. So this new moon offers a fresh start, as all new moons do. It's always a good time to refresh and restart, and we get that every new moon. And it is a fresh start in communication and our intellectual pursuits. So again, here we have more Gemini energy, all ruled by Mercury. So this is, again, this mental energy, but this nakshatra, Ardra, it really brings an influence of very transformative energy. It urges us to have sort of a reevaluation of our thought patterns and of our beliefs. Ardra can really bring in some real shifts. So Jupiter will be here. So it's a perfect time for maybe some longer term goal setting for what are we starting fresh, what are we starting new, but with a longer trajectory. It'll really help with that, with the Jupiter's longer range vision here. This will be a time for also, learning opportunities, embarking on some new educational endeavors, or maybe if you want to learn a new skill or development. And again, wherever Gemini is in your chart, whatever house that rules, is we've got a lot of this energy happening this month. And then we've got Venus moving into Taurus. And it'll move into Taurus on June 29th. It'll be there to July 26th. Now, Venus owns Taurus. Venus is, again, our great artist, our great connector. I've got the connector here somewhere in front of me. Oh, there it is. And Taurus is our very grounded sign, which is about love and beauty and materiality. It's also about wealth, and it's sensual and strong, and it's a great placement. This is really going to bring a lot of depth to our heart, and maybe some of the things that we were starting to get really impassioned about with Venus being in Aries. So there's an energy of pleasure and of presence. There's a heightened appreciation for beauty and nature, and just an activation of your senses. And emotional and financial grounding, so a stronger desire to be more stable in your love and in your money, and commitment to worth, alignment with what feels truly nourishing and valuable. Because you see, Taurus is a place of values, and Jupiter was there for a whole year, and we were really reevaluating a lot of our values and taking them deeper, bringing more wisdom into them. So this is a time to really tend to your body and to your environment. So create your beautiful home, your daily rituals. Bring, maybe some furniture needs to be moved around in your home or your office, or bring the flowers in. It's that time of year. And it's a time to really connect in with people that you love, and deepen the bonds of love that you have, whether it's a new relationship that's come in, or a relationship or relationships that you already have. And Venus in Taurus values real worth. So review your offerings, and this is a time to raise prices where they're needed. Realign your offerings with your value. Really important and great time to do that. And work on projects that take time and take care. This is really a fertile time to, again, this is earthy, bring them into fruition. If you're craving more alignment in how you lead and share your work, this is exactly what we are going to explore in the Soul Over Strategy workshop. It's on June 12th, and the replay will be available afterwards, even if you've missed June 12th, if you see this after that. It's not about pushing harder. It's about finding the clarity that lets your next steps come from deep alignment, not from pressure. You'll walk away with a clear, grounded, and in sync with your soul's pace on what you're creating next. If you want to know deeper insights about how all these transits hit you and so much more, then book a reading with me. The free quiz is down below, also with the free chart calculator, and I love to hear what's come up for you, so please leave me a comment. I read them all. Share, subscribe if that resonates for you. All right, I'm so grateful for you. Thank you for being here, and so much love to you.